Who's there?
Then answer me. Stand and unfold yourself.
Long live the king.
Bernardo.
He.
You come most carefully upon your hour.
Oh, 'tis now struck 12. Get thee to bed, Francisco.
For this relief, much thanks. 'Tis bitter cold, and I am sick at heart.
Have you had quiet guard?
Not a mouse stirring.
Well, good night. If you do meet Horatio and Marcella, the rivals of my watch, bid them make haste.
I think I hear them. Stand out, who is there?
Friends to this crown.
And liegemen to the Dane.
Give you good night.
Oh, farewell, honest soldier, who hath relieved you.
Bernardo hath my place. Give you good night.
Allah, Bernardo!
Say what? Is Horatio there?
Yeah, peace of it.
Welcome, Horatio. Welcome, good Marcella.
Ooh. Has this thing appeared again tonight?
I have seen nothing.
Horatio says 'tis but our fantasy, and will not let belief take hold of him, touching this dreaded sight, twice seen of us. Therefore I have entreated him with us to watch the minutes of the night, that if again this apparition come, he may approve our eyes, and speak to it.
Oh, tush, 'twill not appear.
Oh, sit down a while. And let us once again assail your ears that are so fortified against our story with what we have these 2 nights seen.
Well, sit we down and let us hear Bernardo speak of it.
Last night of all, when yon same star that's westward from the pole had made his course to illume that part of heaven where now it burns, Marcella and myself, the bell then beating 1.
He spread thee off before it comes again.
In the same figure as the king is dead.
Thou art a scholar, speak to it, Horatio.
He spoke to.
It harrows me with fear and wonder.
Looks about like the king.
Speak to it, Horatio.
Margaret Horatio.
What art thou that usurp this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form in which the majesty of buried Denmark did sometimes march? By heaven, I charge thee, speak!
It is offended.
See, it stalks away.
Stay! Speak! Speak! I charge thee, speak!
It is gone and will not answer.
How now, Horatio? Is not this something more than fantasy? You tremble and look pale. What thinkest you on it?
Before my God, I might not thus believe without the sensible and true avouch of mine own eyes.
Is it not like the king?
As thou art thyself. Such was the very armor he had on when he the ambitious Norway combated. So frowned he once when, in an angry parle, he smote the sledded Polacks on the ice.
Thus twice before, and jumped at this dead hour with martial stalk hath he gone by our watch.
On what particular thought to work, I know not, but in the gross and scope of mine opinion, this bodes some strange eruption to our state.
Good now. Sit down and tell me, he that knows, why this same strict and most observant watch doth nightly toil the subject of the land, and why such daily cast a brazen cannon, and foreign march for implements of war, why such impress of shipwrights, whose sore task is not divide the Sunday from the week. Who is that can inform me?
That can I, at least the whisper goes so. Our last king, whose image even but now appeared to us, was, as you know, by Fortinbras of Norway, thereto pricked on by a most emulent pride, dared to the combat, in which our valiant Hamlet, for so this part of our known world esteemed him, did slay this Fortinbras, who, by a sealed compact, well ratified by law and heraldry, did forfeit with his life all those his lands which he stood seized of to the conqueror. Now, Sir Young Fortinbras, of unimproved metal, hot and full, had to the skirts of Norway here and there, charged up a list of lawless resolutes for food and diet to some enterprise which hath a stomach in it, which is so, as it doth well appear unto our state, but to recover of us, by strong hands and terms compulsory, those foresaid lands so by his father lost.
All for Norway, and you true to Dolre Foller!
This, I take it, is the main motive of our preparations, the source of this our watch, and the chief head of this post-haste and rummage in the land.
It could be no other. But e'en so, well may it sort that this portentous figure comes armed through our watch, so like the king that was, and is the question of these wars.
Oh, a mote it is Soft, behold, lo, where it comes again. I'll cross it though it blast me. Stay, illusion. If thou hast any sound or use of voice, speak to me. If there be any good thing to be done that may to thee do ease and grace to me, speak to me. If thou art privy to thy country's fate, which happily foreknowing may avoid, oh, speak. Stop it, Marcella!
Shall I strike it with my partisan?
Two if it will not stand.
'Tis here.
'Tis here.
It is gone. We do it wrong, being so majestical, for it is of the air, invulnerable, and our vain blows, malicious mockery.
It was about to speak when the cock crew.
And then it started like a guilty thing upon a fearful summons. I have heard the cock, that is the trumpet to the morn, doth with his lofty and shrill-sounding throat awake the god of day, and at his warning, whether in sea or fire, in earth or air, the extravagant and erring spirit hies to his confine. But look, the morn, in russet mantle clad, walks over the dew on yon high eastward hill. Break we our watch up, and, upon my advice, let us impart what we have seen tonight unto young Hamlet. For upon my life, this spirit, dumb to us, will speak to him. You consent we shall acquaint him with it, as needful in our love suiting our duty.
Let's do it, I pray.
Our Denmark. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green, and that is us befitted to bear our hearts in grief, and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe. Yet so far hath discretion fought with nature, that we with wisest sorrow think of him together with remembrance of ourselves. Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state, as 'twere with defeated joy, with an auspicious and dropping eye, with mirth in funeral, and dirge in marriage, with equal scales weighing, taken to wife. Nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms, which you have freely with this affair along gone, for all our thanks. And now follows that you know young Fortune Cross, who, holding a weak supposal of our worth, or by thinking by our late dear brother's death, our state to be disjoint and out of frame, he hath not failed to pester us with message importing the surrender of those lands lost by his father with all bands of law to our most valiant brother. So much for him. And now for us, and for this time of meeting, thus much the business is. We have here rid to Norway, uncle to young Fortinbras, who, impotent and bedrid, scarcely hears of his nephew's purpose, and to suppress the further gate herein, in that the lands, the levies, and full proportions are out of his subject. Good Aries, what's the news with you? You have told us of some suit. What is it, Laertes? You cannot speak of reason to the Dane and lose your voice. What was thou bad, Laertes? The head is not more native to the heart, the hand more instrumental than the tongue, than is the throne of Denmark to thy father. What wast thou had, Laertes?
My dread lord, my dread lord, your leave in favor to return to France, from whence, though willingly I came to Denmark, to show my duty in your coronation, Yet now I must confess that duty done, my thoughts and wishes bend again toward France, and bow them to your gracious leave and pardon.
Do you have your father's leave? What says Polonius?
Oh, I beseech you, my lord, give him leave to go.
Take thy fair hour, time be thine, thy best graces, spend it at thy will. And now, our cousin Hamlet, and my son.
A little more than kin and less than kind.
How is it the clouds still hang on you?
Not so, my lord. I am too much in the sun.
Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted colour off, and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Do not forever with thy veiled lids seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou know'st 'tis common, all that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity.
Ay, madam, 'tis common.
If it be, why seems it so particular with thee?
Seems? Nay, it is, I know not seems. It is not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor the customary suits of solemn black, nor the windy suspirations of hoarse breath, no, nor the fruitful river in the eye. These things indeed may seem, for they are actions that a man might play, but I have that within which passes show. These but the trappings and the suits of woe.
Ah, 'tis sweet and commendable in thy nature, Hamlet, to give these morning duties to your father. But you must know, your father lost a father, and that father lost his. And the survivor bound in filial obligation to do obsequious sorrow. But to persever in obstinate condonement, it is a course of impious stubbornness. 'Tis a manly grief. It shows a will most incorrect to heck, a heart unfortified, a mind impatient, and an understanding simple and unschooled. For what we know must be, and is as common as the most vulgar thing to sense. Why should we in our peevish opposition take it to heart? Fie! It's a fault to heaven, fault to the dead, a fault to nature, whose common theme is death of fathers. Till he that cried for the first corpse, till he that cried for his father today. This must be solved. We pray you, throw to earth this unprevailing woe, and think of us as of a father. For let the world take note, you are most immediate to our throne, with no less nobility of love than that which dearest father bears his son, do I impart toward you. For your will in going back to school in Wittenberg, it is most retrograde to our intent, and we beseech you, bid you, remain here, cheer and comfort of our eye, our chiefest courtier, cousin, and our son.
Let not thy mother lose her prayers, Hamlet. I pray thee, stay with us. Go not to Wittenberg.
I shall in all my best obey you.
Ah! 'Tis a sweet and fair reply. Be as ourself in Denmark. Come away.
Ophelia!
That this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Fie! Fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden that comes to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely. That it should come to this. But 2 months dead. Nay, not so much. Not 2. So excellent a king that was to this Hyperion to a satyr. So loving to my mother that he might not the teem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember. Why, she should wait upon him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month. Let me not think on. Frailty, thy name is woman. After a month? Ere yet the shoes were old with which she followed my poor father's body, like Naomi, all tears. But she, even she, God, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle. Oh, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. After a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married. Almost wicked speed. To boast with such dexterity to incestuous cheats. It cannot, nor it will not come to good. But break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.
To your lordship.
I am glad to see thee well. Horatio, or I do forget myself.
Let us say, my lord, your poor servant ever.
My good friend, sir. I will change that name with you. Marcella.
My good lord.
I am glad to see you well. Good even, sir. But what in faith make you from Wittenberg? What is your affair in Elsinore?
My lord, I came to see your father's funeral.
I prithee do not mock me. I think you mean my mother's wedding.
Oh, indeed, my lord, it followed hard upon.
Thrift, Horatio. The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the wedding tables. There I had seen my dearest foe in heaven, and ever I saw that day, Horatio. My father. Methinks I see my father.
Where, my lord?
In my mind's eye, Horatio.
Yeah, I saw him once. He was a goodly king.
He was a man. Take him for all in all. I shall not look upon his like again.
My lord, I think I saw him yesternight.
Saw who?
My lord, the king, your father.
The king, my father.
Season your admiration for a while with an attentive, till I may deliver, upon the witness of these 2 gentlemen, this marvel to you.
For God's love, let me hear it.
2 nights together had these gentlemen, Marcella and Bernardo, on their watch in the dead waste and middle of the night, been thus encountered. A figure like your father appears before them, and with solemn march goes slow and stately by them. Thrice he walked by their oppressed and fear surprised eyes, whilst they, distilled almost to jelly with the act of fear, stood dumb and spoke not to him. That this to me in dreadful secrecy in part they did. So I with them the 3rd night kept the watch, where, as they had delivered, both in time and form of the thing, each word made true and good, the apparition comes. I knew your father, and these hands are not more like.
Where was this?
My lord, upon the platform where we watch.
Did you not speak to it?
My lord, I did, yet answer made it none. But once, methought it did address itself to motion like as it would to speak, But even then the morning cock crew loud, and at the sound it shrunk in haste and vanished from our sight.
It is most strange.
'Tis true, my good lord, and we did think it redounded our duty to let you know of it.
Indeed. Indeed, sirs. Hold you the watch tonight?
We do, my lord.
What, looked he frowningly?
Yeah, our countenance more in sorrow than in anger.
Pale or red?
Nay, very pale.
And fixed his eyes upon you.
Most constantly.
God, if I had been there,
It would have much amazed you,
I will
sir.
watch tonight. Perchance 'twill walk again.
Yeah, I warrant it will.
If it assume my noble father's person, I will speak to it, though all hell should gape to bid me hold my peace. So fare you well, friends.
Our duty to your honor.
Your loves, as mine to you. Farewell. My father's spirit in arms. All is not well. My doubts in foul play. God, the night were come. Till then, sit still, my soul. Foul deeds will rise, though all the earth o'erwhelm them, to men's eyes.
My necessaries are embarked. Farewell. And sister, as the winds give benefit in Convey's assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you.
You doubt that?
For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor hold it a fashion and a toy in blood, a violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more.
No more but so?
Think it no more. For nature, crescent doesn't grow alone in thews and bulks, but as this temple waxes, the inward service of the mind and soul grows wide withal. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil nor coddle doth besmirch the virtue of his will, but you must fear, his greatness weighed, his will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his own birth. He may not, the way unvalued persons do, carve for himself, for on his choice depends the safety and health of this whole state, and therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he, in his particular acting place, may give his same deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. Then we would loss your honor may sustain, if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. The chariest maid is prodigal if she unmask her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself escapes not calumnious strokes. The canker galls the infants of spring too oft before their buttons be disclosed. And in the morn and liquid dew of youth, contagious blasphements are most imminent. Be wary then. Best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near.
I shall the effect of this good lesson keep, as watchman to my heart. But, good my brother, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whilst like a puffed and reckless libertine, himself the primrose path of dalliance treads, and recks not his own reed.
Oh, fear me not. Oh, I stay too long, but here our Father comes. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles on a second leave.
Yet still here, Laertes. Aboard for shame. The wind sits at the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. my blessings with thee, and these few precepts in your memory. Look thou character. Give thy thoughts no voice, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be familiar, but by no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast whose adoption tried, grapple them unto thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment. Each newly hatched, unfledged courage, beware of entrance into quarrel. But, being in, bearest that they oppose, beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy. Rich, but not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man, and they in France of the highest rank and station, they are selecting generous chief in that. Oh, neither borrowing nor lending, for loan oft loses itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. And this above all, to thine own self be true. Then it follows as the night the day, thou canst not be false to any man. Farewell. Blessing season this in thee.
Most humbly do I take my leave, my lord.
Time invest you. Go, your servants tend.
Farewell, Ophelia, and remember well what I have said to you.
Is in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it.
Farewell.
What is Ophelia he has said to you?
So please you, somebody touching the Lord Hamlet?
Oh, Mary, well bethought. 'Tis told to me that he is very often late given private time to you, and you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. If this be so, as 'tis put to me, and this by way of caution, then you do not understand yourself so clearly as behooves my daughter and your honor. What is between you? Give me up the truth.
He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me.
Affection? Ha! You act like a green girl, unsieved in these perilous circumstances. Do you believe these tenders, as you call them?
I do not know, my lord, what I should think.
Mary, I will teach you. These affections, as you call them, they are not of their right. You should not of thyself be of these tenders. These affections, as you call them.
My lord, he hath importuned me with love, in honorable fashion.
Oh, fashion you call it. Well, go to.
And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven.
Springs to catch woodcocks. I do know how the blood burns and how the prodigal soul lends its tongue to vows. These blazes, daughter, giving off more light than heat, are extinct in both, even in the promise as it is of making. Do not take for fire. From this time be somewhat scancer in your maiden presence, and set your entreatments at a higher rate than a call to parley, for the Lord Hamlet believe in him so much as he is young, and may with a longer tether walk than ever may be granted you. In few, Ophelia do not believe his vows, for they are brokers, and not of that dye which their investment show, but mere implorators of unholy suits, breeding like sanctified and pious bawds, the better to beguile. From this time forth, I would not have you waste a moment's leisure with words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it. I charge you.
I shall obey, my lord.
What hour now?
I think it lacks of 12.
No, it is struck.
Indeed? I heard it not. It then draws near the season wherein the spirit others want to walk. Look, mother, when it comes!
Angels and ministers and grace defend us. Be thou a spirit of health or goblin damned, bring with the airs from heaven or blast from hell. Be thy intent wicked or charitable, thou comest in such a questionable shape that I will speak to thee. I'll call thee Hamlet, king. Father, royal dame, answer me.
It beckons you to go away with it, as if it's some apartment it desires you alone.
Look with what courteous action it waves you to more removed ground. But do not go with it!
Why? What should be the beard? I do not set my life at a pig's feet. It waves me forth again. I'll follow it.
He waxes desperate with imagination.
Let's follow. It is not fit thus to obey him.
Have after, to what issue will this come?
Something is wrong in the state of Denmark.
And heaven will direct it.
Nay, let's follow him!
Whither wilt thou lead me? Speak! Speak!
I'll go no further!
Mark me.
I will.
My hour is almost come, when I, the sulphurous and tormenting flames, must render up myself.
Alas, poor ghost.
Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak, I long to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear.
What?
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast and fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But that I forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, cause thy two eyes to start like stars from their spheres, each combined and not unlocked apart, and each particular hair to stand on end like quills upon the fearful porpentine. But this eternal blazon must not be the years of flesh and blood! Ah! List! Oh, list! If thou didst ever thy dear father love,
God.
Revenge is foul and most unnatural murder! Murder most foul! As in the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste me to note that I with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
I find thee apt. Indulged shouldst thou be in the fat wheat that roots itself with ease on lathe wharf, shouldst thou not stir in this. Now, Hamlet, here, 'tis given that, sleeping in my orchard, a serpent stung me, so the whole ear of Denmark is by a forced process of my death rankly abused. But know this, thou noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul. My uncle!
Aye! That incestuous, that adulterous wretch, with witchcrafters' wits and traitorous gifts, oh, wicked wits that have the power so to seduce. One who is seen in favor of the virtue of my most seeming virtuous queen. Oh, Hamlet, what a falling off was there for me, whose love was of that dignity that went hand in hand even with the vow I made to her in marriage. But virtue, as it never shall be moved, though lewdness courted in the shape of heaven, so lust that to a radiant angel winged will sate itself to celestial bed and prey on garbage. Soft, methinks I scent the morning air. Brief let me be. Sleeping in my orchard, my custom always in the afternoon, upon my secure hour that uncle stole, and with juice of cursed heaven I did pour in the porches of my ear the leprous distilment, which holds such an enmity towards blood of man, that swift as quicksilver, it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, so did it mine, and curd the thin and wholesome blood. And a most instant terror barked about, with vile, loathsome crust, most lazar-like all my smooth body. Thus was I by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, of queen, at once dispatched, cut off even the blossoms of my sin, unreckoned, disappointed, unannaled, but sent to my final account with all my imperfections on my head. Oh, horrible! Oh, horrible, most horrible. If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest, but
Howsoever thou pursuest this act, take not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom stick, to prick and sting her. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the man to be near, and shouldst impale his ineffectual fire. Adieu. 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 Remember me!
Oh, all you hosts of heaven! Oh, earth! What else? And shall I couple hell? I, thou poor ghost, remember thee. Whilst memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, remember thee. Most pernicious woman. Villain. Villain! Smiling, damned villain! My tables. And it's meet I set it down that when they smile, and be a villain! At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark.
My lord! My lord!
Lord Hamlet?
Heavens, Karen!
How is my noble lord?
What news, my lord?
Wonderful!
Good, my lord, tell it.
Would you a secret?
I pray heaven, my lord.
I hold it fit that we should shake hands and part. I will go pray.
These are but wild and whirling words, my lord.
I am sorry they offend you heartily.
There is no offense, my lord.
For your desire to know what is between us, or masters, as you may. And now, good friends, bid me one poor request.
What is, my lord? We will.
Never make known what you have seen here tonight. Swear by my sword.
Swear!
Day and night, this is wondrous strange.
And therefore, as a stranger, give it welcome. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Come, here as before. Never, so help you mercy, how strange or odd summer I bear myself. For I perchance hereafter shall think meet to put an antic disposition on, that you, at such times seeing me, never shall, with arms encumbered thus, or this head shake, or anything to make note that you know aught of me. This do swear. So grace and mercy at your most needs help you.
Swear!
Rest! Rest, perturbed spirit! And now, good friends, with all my love I do commend me to you. And what so poor a man as Hamlet is to do to express his love and friending to you, God willing, shall not lack. The time is out of joint. O cursed spite, that ever I was born to set it right.
How now, Ophelia? What is the matter?
Oh, my lord. My lord, I have been so affrighted.
With what in the name of God?
Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all embraced, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous and purport as if he had been loosed out of hell, to speak of horrors that comes before me.
Thy love?
My lord,
Therefore, what did he say?
He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then goes he to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand thus o'er his brow, he fell to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stayed he so. At last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound as it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. That done he lets me go, and with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes, for out of doors he went without their helps, and to their last bended their light on me.
Come, go we seek the king. This is the very ecstasy of love, whose violent property fordoes itself, and leads the will to desperate undertakings as oft as any passion under heaven that afflicts our nature. I'm sorry. What? Have you given him any hard words of late?
No, my good lord. But as you did command, I did repel his letters and deny his access to me.
This has made him mad. I'm sorry that with better heed and judgment I had not quoted him. I feared he did but trifle and meant to rack thee. Oh, but beshrew my jealousy. By heaven, it is as proper to our age to cast beyond ourselves in our opinions as it is common for the younger sort to lack discretion. Come, go we to the king. This must be known. If being kept hid might move more grief to hide than hate to utter love. Come. My lord, the ambassadors from Norway are joyously returned.
Thou hast been the father of good news.
I assure my lord that I hold my duty as I hold my soul, both to my God and to my gracious king. And I do believe, or else this brain of mine hunts not the trail of policy as sure as it used to do, that I have found the very cause of Hamlet's lunacy.
Oh, speak of that. That do I long to hear.
First, give admittance to the ambassadors, that my news will be the fruit of that great feast.
Thyself do grace to them. He hath told me, sweet little Gertrude, he hath found the head and source of all your son's distemper.
I doubt it is no other but the maid, his father's death, and our hasty marriage.
Well, we shall sift it. What from our brother Norway?
Most fair return of greetings and desires. Upon our first, he sent out to suppress his nephew's levies, which to him appeared to be a preparation against the Polack. But better looked into, he truly found it was against your highness, whereat grieved that so his sickness, age, and impotence was falsely borne in hand, sends out arrests on Fortinbras, which he, in brief, obeys, receives rebuke from Norway, and in fine makes vow before his uncle never more to give assay of arms against your majesty. Whereon old Norway, overcome with joy, gives him 70,000 crowns in annual fee, and his commission to employ those soldiers so levied as before against the Polack, with an entreaty herein further shown, that it might please you to give quiet pass through your dominions for this enterprise, on such regards of safety and allowance as therein are set down.
Ah, it likes us well. And at our most considered time, we'll read, answer, and think on this business.
Ah, this business is well ended. My lord and madam, to expostulate on what majesty should be, and what duty is, whether the day is the day, night, night, whether time is time. Why, it were nothing else but to waste the night, the day, and time. Therefore, since brevity is the soul of wit, and tediousness, that is the limbs and the outward flourishes, I will be brief. Your noble son is mad. Mad call I it. But what is the true definition of madness? Why, it is nothing else but mad. But let that go.
More matter with less art.
Madam, I assure you, I use no art at all. That he is mad is true. 'Tis true, 'tis pity, and pity 'tis true. A foolish figure. But farewell it, for I will use no art. Mad let us grant it. What remains is to find the cause of this effect. Or rather, the cause of this defect. For the effect defective, well, it comes by cause. Thus it remains, and the remainder is thus. Prepend. I have a daughter. Have her while she is mine, and in her duty and obedience mark, she hath given me this. Gather and surmise. To the celestial and my soul's idol, the most beautified Ophelia. That's a vile phrase, and ill phrase, beautified. But you shall hear thus. In her excellent white bosom
Is this from Hamlet to her?
Oh, madam, stay a while. I will be faithful. Doubt thou the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move, doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love, oh dear Ophelia, I'm ill at these numbers. I have not art to reckon my groans, but that I love thee best, almost best, believe it and do, thine evermore, most dear lady, whilst this machine is to him Hamlet. This my daughter hath given me. All fallen out by time, by needs, and by place, all given unto my ear.
But how hath she received his love?
Oh, to my young maiden I did his speaking. And then a prescripts gave her. The Lord Hamlet is a prince beyond your star. This must not be. She should lock herself away from his resorts, accept no messengers, receive no tokens. This done, she took the fruit of my advice, and he repelled. It is a short tale to many. He fell into sadness, then into fast, thence into watch, thence into weakness, thence into light. And from this declension into the madness from which now he raves, and for which all we mourn.
Do you think 'tis this?
It may be, very like.
Has there ever been a time, I would know, that I have ever said positively 'tis true, when it proved otherwise?
Not that I know.
Well, then you may take this from this, if this is otherwise. And if circumstances lead me, I will find where the truth is hid, even if it be hid indeed in the very center.
How may we try it further?
Ah, you know, sometimes he walks 4 hours together here in this lobby.
So he does indeed.
At such a time, you and I will be behind an arras here. If he find her not, and find her not, and be not from his reason fallen thereon, then I will be no assistant to the state, but keep a farm and quarters.
We will try it.
Let's look where the poor wretch comes reading.
Away, I do beseech you, both away. I will board him presently. How does my Lord Hamlet? God mercy. Well. Do you know me, my lord? Oh, excellent, in faith. You are a fishmonger. Not I, my lord. I would you were so honest a man. Honest, my lord. Aye, sir, to be honest as far as this world goes,
is to be one man picked out of 10,000.
Oh, that is very true, my lord.
For if the sun breed maggots in a dead dog, being a good kissing carrion, have you a daughter?
Indeed I do, my lord.
Do not let her walk in the sun. A conception is a blessing, but as your daughter may conceive, friend, look to it.
How say you by this? Still hopping on my daughter. Yet he did not seem to know me at first, called me a fishmonger. He is far gone. In my youth, I did suffer much extremity for love. Very near this. I will speak with him again. What do you read, my lord?
Words. Words. Words.
Though this be madness, there is method in it. Will you walk out of the air, my lord?
Into my grave.
Indeed, that is out of the air. Pregnant sometimes his replies are. Madness, happiness which madness hits on, which reason and sanity cannot prosperously be delivered of. I will leave him, and suddenly contrive a means of meeting between him and my daughter. My lord, I will take my leave of you.
You cannot take from me anything that I would not more gladly part withal. Except my life. Except my life. Except my life.
Fare you well, my lord.
These tedious old rules.
Go you to seek the Lord Hamlet. There he is.
God save you, sir.
My honored lord!
My most dear lord!
My excellent good friends! Rosencrantz! Guildenstern! How do you both?
As the indifferent children of the earth.
Happy in that we are not over happy. On Fortune's cap, we are not the very button.
Nor the sole of her shoe.
Neither, my lord.
Or when you live about her waist, or in the middle of her favors.
Faith, her private suite.
Ah, most true, she is a strumpet. The secret parts of fortune. What news?
None, my lord, but that the world's grown honest.
Then is doomsday near. But your news is not true. Let me question more in particular. What have you, my good friends, deserved at the hands of fortune that she brings you to prison hither?
Prison, my lord?
Denmark's a prison!
Then is the world one!
Aye, a goodly one, in which there are many confines, wards, and dungeons. Denmark being one of the worst.
We think not so, my lord.
Why, that is none to you. For nothing is neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. To me, it is a prison.
Why then your ambition makes it so. 'Tis too narrow for your mind.
I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space.
Which dreams indeed are ambition, for the very substance of the ambitious is merely the shadow of a dream.
A dream is itself but a shadow.
Truly, and I hold ambition of so airy and light a quality that it is but a shadow's shadow.
Then are our beggars' bodies, and our outstretched monarchs and heroes the beggars' shadows? Show me to the court, for by my fay I cannot reason.
We'll wait
We'll
upon
wait upon
you.
you.
In the beaten way of friendship, what make you at Elsinore?
To visit you, my lord? No other occasion?
A beggar that I am even poor in thanks. But I thank you, good friends, and it's true, my thanks are too dear a halfpenny. Were you not sent for? Is it of your own inclining? Is it a free visitation? Come, come, deal justly with me. Come, come, speak!
What would we say, my lord?
Anything but to the purpose. You were sent for, And there is a kind of confession in your looks that your modesties have not craft enough to color. I know the good king and queen have sent for you.
To what end, my lord?
That you must teach me. Be even and direct with me whether you were sent for or no. I have an eye of you. If you love me, hold not off.
My lord, we were sent for.
I will tell you why. So shall my anticipation prevent your discovery, and your secrecy to the king and queen moult no feather. I have of late, wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercises, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. By this most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire. Why, it appeareth nothing to me but a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable in action, how like an angel in anticipation, how like a god! The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me. Nor woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so.
My lord, there was no such stuff in my thoughts.
Oh, why did ye laugh then when I said man delights not me?
To think, my lord, that if you delight not in man, what Lenten entertainment the players shall receive from you, we quoted them along the way, and hither are they coming to offer you service.
He that plays the king will be welcome. What players are they?
Those that you were wont to take delight in, the tragedians of the city.
The players are here.
My gentlemen, you are welcome to Elsinore. But my uncle, father, and aunt mother are deceived.
In what, my lord?
I am but mad north-northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw. God by you, gentlemen.
The actors are come hither, my lord. The finest actors in all the world. Whether for comedy, tragedy, history, pastoral comical, historical pastoral, tragical comical, historical pastoral. Oh, these are the finest actors in all the land. Plautus cannot be too light, nor Seneca too heavy. For the law of wit and wisdom, these are the finest actors in all the world!
Oh, look where my abridgment comes. I'm glad to see thee well. You are welcome, masters. Welcome, everyone. Come, give us a taste of your quality. Come, a passionate speech.
What speech, my lord?
I heard thee speak me a speech once. One speech in't I truly loved. 'Twas Aeneas' tale to Dido, and thereabouts in't especially when he speaks of Priam's slaughter.
Anon he finds him striking too short at Greeks, and the equal matched. His antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, rebellious to command. Unequal match, Pyrrhus at Priam drives, and rage strikes wide.
But with the whiff and wind of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then, senseless Ilium, seeming to feel this blow, with flaming top stoops to his basin with a hideous crash, takes prisoner Pyrrhus here.
For lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the air to stick. So as a painted tyrant Pyrrhus stood, and like a neutral to his will and matter,
Did nothing.
but, as we often see against some storm, the silence in the heavens, the rock stands still, the bold winds speechless, and the hush below as hushes death. Anon the dreadful thunder doth rend the region, so after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance sets him new a work, and never did the Cyclops' hammers fall on Mars' armor, forge a proof a turn with less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam.
Out! Out, you strumpet fortune! All you gods and general synod, take away her power! Break all the spokes and bellies from her wheel, and bowl the round nave down the hill of heaven, as low as to the fiends!
This is too long. Come on, man.
Now, that's what she said.
Say on, come to Hecuba.
But who, woe, had seen the moblet queen?
The Moblet Queen? Oh, that's good. The Moblet Queen is good. All right.
Run barefoot up and down, with bis and room, a clout upon that head where late the diadem stood, and for a robe about her lank and all o'erteemed loins, a blanket. Who this had seen, with tongue in venom steeped, against fortune's state would treason have pronounced. But if the gods could see her then, when she saw Pyrrhus make malicious sport in mincing with his sword her husband's limbs, unless things mortal moved them not at all, would have made milch the burning eyes of heaven, and passion in the gods.
Oh, look how she has not turned her color. How she has tears in her eyes. Oh, prithee, no more. 'Tis well. I will have thee speak out the rest of this soon enough. My lord, see these players are well bestowed. Do you hear? See, they are well used, for after your death you had better have a bad epitaph than their ill report while you live. Come, servants, follow this lord, and my friend, couldst thou play the murder of Gonzago?
Aye, my lord.
We'll have it tomorrow night. You could for need study a speech of some 12 lines or 16 lines, which I would set down and insert int, could you not?
Aye, my lord.
Very well. Follow that lord, and look you mock him not. Now I go on. What a rogue and peasant slave am I? Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could so force her soul to her conceit that from her working all the visage rain? Tears in her eyes, distraction in her aspect, a broken voice, and all things forming to her conceit? And for nothing. For Hecuba. Oh, what's Hecuba to her, or her to Hecuba, that she should weep for her? What would she do had she the cue and will for passion that I have? She would drown the stage with tears, make mad the guilty, appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a very money-meddled rascal, peaked like John o' Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, can say nothing. No. Not for a king upon whose property and dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Beats my paid across, plucks out my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose and gives me the lie in the throat all the way to the lungs. Who does me this?
swoons, I should take it. For it cannot be but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. Or else this I will keep fat in all the raging kites with this slave's awful. Bloody, body villain! Remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindness villain! By heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words and fall a-cursing like a very drab. Astounded. Fie upon. Fall! About my brains. About my brains. Heard the guilty creatures sitting in a plague, and by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that they have presently proclaimed their malefactions. I will have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tempt him to the quick. If he do but blench, I know my cause. This spirit that I have seen may be a devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape, yea? And perhaps in my weakness and melancholy, as he is most potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
By no drift of conference, get from him why he puts on this confusion, grading so harshly all his days acquired with dangerous and turbulent lunacy.
He does confess he feels himself distracted, but from what cause he will by no means speak.
Nor do we find him forward to be sounded, but rather with a crafty madness. Keeps aloof when we would bring him to some confession of his true state.
Good friends, give him a further edge.
We shall, my lord.
And sweet Gertrude, leave us too. For we have closely sent for Hamlet hither, that as 'twere by accident he may here affront Ophelia. Her father and myself, we shall so bestow ourselves, that seen unseen, we may of their encounter frankly judge, and gather from him as he is behaving, if it be the affliction of his love, or no, that thus he suffers for.
I shall obey you. And for your part, Ophelia, I do wish that your good beauties be the happy cause of Hamlet's wildness. So shall I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again, to both your honors.
Madam, I wish it may.
Ophelia, walk you here. Gracious, so you please. We will bestow ourselves. Read on this book. The show of this exercise, oh, will cut with your loneliness. Oh, we are off to blame in this. 'Tis too much proved that with devotion's visage and pious acts, we do sugar over the devil himself.
'Tis true. How smart a lash that speech that give my conscience. Oh, heavy burden.
I hear him coming. Withdraw, my lord.
To be, or not to be? That is the question. It is nobler to live and fight against all the troubles of man's mind, or to take up arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die. To sleep. No more. And by a sleep to say that we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die. To sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. There's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. Oh, there's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love? The law's delay, the insolence of office, and the patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin. Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, were it not for the dread of something after death? The undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and it makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus, the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought. And enterprises of great pitch and moment in this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Something up. Ophelia, nymph in thy orisons, be all my sins remembered.
Good, my lord. How does your honor for this many a day?
I humbly thank you. Well.
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have long and longed to redeliver. Pray you now receive them?
Well, not I never gave you aught.
My honored lord, you know right well you did. And with them words of so sweet breath composed has made the things more rich. Their perfume lost, take these again, for to the noble mind, rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There, my lord.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty.
Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty?
Truly. For the power of honesty will sooner transform beauty to nothing than the force of beauty will translate honesty to a bawd. This was sometime a paradox, but now the time gives it proof. I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord, you made me believe
so.
You should not have believed me. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent on this, yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. I am very proud, revengeful, and ambitious, with more offenses at my beck than I have thoughts to put them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. What should such fools as I do, crawling between heaven and earth? We are errant knaves. Believe none of us. To a nunnery go. Where is thy father? Where is thy father?
At home, my lord.
Then let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere but in his own house. Farewell.
Heavenly powers restore him.
If thou dost marry, I will give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape calumny. To a nunnery go, and quickly too. Or if thou must needs marry, marry a fool. For wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery go, and quickly too.
Welcome you, sweet heavens.
God! I have heard of your paintings well enough. God hath given you one face, and you paint yourselves another. You jig and you amble and you list. You nickname God's creatures and make your ignorance your wantonness. Go to! I'll no more want. It hath made me mad. I say, we will have no more marriage. Those that are married already, all but one, shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery, go! No! Go!
Oh, what a noble mind is here on throne! The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, high down sword, the expectancy and rose in the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I am ladies most dejected and wretched that suck the honey of his music vows to now see that noble and most sovereign reason like sweet bells jangle out of time and harsh. That unmatched form and feature of lone youth blasted with ecstasy. Woe is me. To have seen what I have seen, see what I see.
Well, his affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it like form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul o'er which his melancholy sits unbruised, and I do doubt the hatch and disclose will be of some danger for which to prevent. I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England for the demand of our neglected tribute. Haply the seas and countries' difference with their variable object shall expel this something settled matter in his heart, for which his brain, still beating, still puts him from fashion of himself. What think you on it?
It shall do well, my lord, but yet I still believe that the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love. Oh, how now, Ophelia? You do not need to tell us what the Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. do as you please, my lord, but if you see fit, after the play, let the Queen Mother by herself entreat him to show his grief. Let her be round with him. If she find him not, then to England send him, or confine him wherever your wisdom best shall think.
Shall be so. Madness and great ones must not unwatched go.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounce it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it as many of our players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air with your hand too much thus, but use all gently. Oh, for in your torrent, tempest, and as I may say, whirlwind of passion, you must acquire and beget a kind of temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, God, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, parowick-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but dumb shows and noise. I would have a fellow whipped for o'erdoing termagant. It out-Herods Herod. Pray you avoid it.
I warrant, Your Honor.
Be not too tame, neither, but let your discretion be your tutor. So the action to the word for the action, with this special observance in mind, that you o'erstep not the modesties of nature. For anything so overdone is from the form of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold as toward the mirror up to nature. To show virtue her feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time his form and pressure. Now, these things overdone or come tardy off, though they may make the unskillful laugh, cannot but help but make the judicious grieve, the censure of which one must in your allowance o'erweigh on whole theatre of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play, and heard others praise, and that highly, and not to speak it profanely, but that neither having the accent of Christian, nor the gait of Christian, nor pagan, nor man, have so strutted and bellowed that I had thought some of nature's journeymen had made men, and not made them well. Oh, they imitated humanity so abominably.
I hope we have reformed that indifferently with us, sir.
Go make you ready. Oh, my lord, will the king hear this piece of work?
Oh, and the Queen too, and presently.
Oh, Horatio! There is a play tonight before the king. One act of it comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, observe my uncle. If his occult guilt do not unkennel itself in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen. And my imaginations are as foul as Vulcan's city. Give him heedful note, for I mine eyes will rivet to his face. And after you and I our judgments shall join in censure of his seeming.
Well, my lord.
They are coming to play. I must be idle. Get you a seat.
How fares our cousin Hamlet?
Excellent, in faith, of the chameleons finished. I eat the air. Promise, Cram. You cannot feed capons so.
I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine.
Oh no, nor mine now. Sir, you played once in the university, you say?
Oh, indeed I did. And I was accounted quite a good actor.
What did you enact?
I enacted Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Shh. Brutus killed me.
Well, what a brute part of him it was to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready?
My lord, we wait upon your patience.
Come hither, my dear Hamlet, sit by me.
No, good mother. Here's metal more attractive.
Oh, you like this?
Lady, shall I lie in your lap?
No, my lord.
I mean my head upon your lap.
Aye, my lord.
Did you think I meant country matters?
I think nothing, my lord.
Oh, that's a fair thought to lie between maids' legs.
What is, my lord?
Nothing!
You are married, my lord.
Who, I?
Aye, my lord.
Oh, well, what's a fellow to do but be married? Why, look you how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within 2 hours.
Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord.
So long? Nay. And let the devil wear black. I'll have a suit of sables. Heavens, dead for 2 months and not forgot yet? Why, it may be so that a man's memory may outlive his life by half a year. Oh, but by your lady, he must build churches then, or else shall he suffer the thinking on with the hobby horse, whose epitaph is, for all, the hobby horse is forgot.
Sucks to be you.
What means this, my lord?
Mary, this is reaching molecho. It means mischief.
Do you like the show and what's the argument of the play?
We shall know by this fellow. The players cannot keep counsel. They'll tell all.
Will they tell us what the show meant?
Aye, or any show that you would show them, be you not ashamed to tell. They'll not shame to tell you what it means.
You are not, my lord. You are not. I'll mark the play. For us and for our tragedy, here stooping to your clemency, we beg your hearing, patiently.
Oh, is this a prologue or the posy of a ring?
'Tis brief, my lord.
As woman's love.
30 times hath Phoebus' cart gone round, Neptune's salt wash, and Tellus orbit ground, and 30 dozen moons with borrowed sheen have about the earth 12 times 30's been, since love our hearts and Hymen did our hands unite communal in most sacred bands.
So many journeys of the sun and moon make us again count o'er ere let us done. But woe is me, you are so sick of late, so far from cheer and from your former state that I distrust you.
Faith, I must leave thee, and shortly too, for a husband shalt thou.
Oh, confound the rest. Such love must needs be treason in my breast. And second husband, let me be accursed. None by the second, but who killed the first?
Oh, that's wormwood.
Thus instances that second marriage move are base respects of thrift, but none of love. A second time I kill my husband dead, when second husband kisses me in bed.
I do believe you think what now you speak, but what we do determine oft we break. Purpose is but the slave to memory, of vital birth but poor validity. But orderly to end where I begun, our wills and fates do so contrary run, that our devices still are overthrown. Our thoughts are ours, their ends none of our own. So think thou wilt no second husband wed, but die thy thoughts when thy first lord is dead.
Nor earth give me food, nor heaven light. Sport and repose lock for me day and night. To desperation turn my trust and hope. To anchor's cheer in prison be my scope. Both here and hence pursue me lasting strife. If once I be a widow, ever I be a wife.
If she should break it now.
'Tis deeply sworn.
Faith, leave me here a while. My spirits grow dull, and fain I would beguile the tedious day with sleep.
Sleep rock thy brain, and never come mischance between us twain.
How like you this play, madam?
The lady doth protest too much, methinks.
But she'll keep her word.
Have you heard the argument? Is there no offense in it?
No, they do but jest. Poison in jest. No offense in the world.
What do you call the play?
The mousetrap. Married wife. This play is the image of a murder done in Vienna. Gonzago is the duke's name, his wife, Baptista. You shall see anon. It is a knavish piece of work, but what of that? Your Majesty and those of us with free souls, it touches us not. Let the galled jade winch, our withers are unwrung. This is one Lucianus, nephew to the king.
You are as good as a chorus, my lord.
I could interpret between you and your loves, could I see the puppets dallying.
You are keen, my lord. You are keen.
Oh, it would cost you a groaning to take off mine edge.
Still better and worse.
So you mistake your husbands. Come, murderer, begin. Leave thy damnable faces and begin. Come, the croaking raven doth bellow for revenge!
Thoughts black,
Hands out,
drugs fit,
and time agreeing.
Confederate season, else no creature seeing,
Thou mixture rank of midnight weeds collected.
with Hecate's band, thrice blasted, thrice infected,
Thy natural magic and dire properties.
unwholesome lies usurps immediately.
This shall be so. This shall be so. This shall be so. This shall be so. This shall be so.
He poisons you in the garden for his estate. You shall see anon how the murderer gets the love of Gonzago's wife.
The king rises.
Blood frightened with false fire.
How fares, my lord?
Keep on with the play!
Give me light! Away!
Light! Light! Light!
Why, let the stricken deer go weep. The heart ungalled play, for some must watch while some must sleep. Thus runs the world away. For thou dost know, O dame and dear, this realm dismantled was of Jove himself, but now reigns here a very, very payhawk.
You might have rhymed.
Good Horatio, I will take the ghost word at 1,000 pound. Didst perceive?
Oh, very well, my lord.
Good my lord, vouchsafe me a word with you.
Sir, a whole history.
The king, sir,
Yes, sir, what of him?
is in his retirement marvelous distemperate.
With drink, sir?
No, rather with choler.
Oh, your wisdom should show itself more richer to signify this to the doctor. For me to put him to his purgation would perhaps plunge him into more choler.
Good my lord, put your discourse into some frame, and start not so wildly from my affair.
I am tame, sir. Pronounce.
The queen, your mother, is in most great affliction of spirit, hath sent me to you.
You are welcome.
Nay, my good lord, this courtesy is not the right breed. If it shall please you to make me a wholesome answer, I will do your mother's commandment. If not, your pardon, and my return shall be the end of my business.
Sir, I cannot
What, my lord?
make you a wholesome answer. My wit's diseased, you see. But such answer that I can make, you shall command. Or rather, as you say, my mother. But no more of it to the matter. My mother
You say?
Then thus she says, your behavior hath struck her into amazement and admiration.
Oh, wonderful son, that can so astonish a mother. But come, is there no sequel on the heels of this mother's admiration? Impart.
She desires to speak with you in her closet ere you go to bed.
We will go to her were she 10 times our mother. Have you any further trade with us?
My lord, you once did love me.
And do still. By these pickers and stealers.
Good my lord, what is the cause of your distemper? You do surely bar the door upon your own liberty if you deny your griefs to your friend.
Madam, I lack advancement.
How can that be, when you have the voice of the king himself for your succession in Denmark?
Aye, truly, but while the grass grows, the proverb is something musty. Why do you go about to recover the wind of me as if you would drive me into a toil?
Oh, my lord, if my duty be too bold, my love be too unmannerly.
I do not well understand that. Will you play upon this pipe?
Good my lord, I cannot.
Oh, I pray you.
Believe me, I cannot.
I do beseech you.
I know not the touch of it.
Why, it is as easy as lying. Look you, here are the stops.
But my lord, these I cannot command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill.
Why, look you now. How unworthy a thing you do make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. Oh, there is much music. Excellent voice in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak? Swoons, do you think I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Oh, call me what instrument you will. Though you may fret me, yet you cannot play upon me. Oh, good my lord!
My lord, the queen would speak with you, and presently.
They fool me to the top of my bed. I will go for her by and by.
I will say so.
By and by is easily said. Leave me, friends. Now, 'tis the very witching time of night when graveyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now might I drink hot blood and do such things that day would quake to look on. Soft. Now to my mother. Heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My heart and soul and tongue in this be hypocrites, for in my words somever she be shed, to give them seals, never my soul consent.
Oh, my offense is rank. It smells to heaven. It hath the primal eldest curse upon it. A brother's murder. Pray, can I not, though inclination be as sharp as will, My stronger guilt defeats my strong intent, and like a man to do double business bound, I stand and pause where I first began, and both neglect. What if this cursed end was thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to watch it white as snow? And where to serve mercy but to confront the visage of offense? Once in prayer, but this too full force to be forestalled ere we come to fall, or pardon being down. Then I'll look up. My fault is past. In what form of mercy can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder. But that cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder. My crown, my own ambition, and my queen. Can one be pardoned and retain the offense? In the corrupted currents of this world, offenses gilded hand may shove by justice, and oft is seen the wicked prize itself buys out the law, but 'tis not so about what then? What rest? Yet what repentance can? What it cannot. Yet can one repent? Oh, wretched state! O bosom black as death! O lying soul, struggling to be free, art more engaged. Hark, angels, make a say. Bow, O bosom black, knees and heart, with strings of steel, be soft as sinews of the newborn babe. All may be well.
Now might I do it back? Now he is afraid. And now I'll do it. And so he goes to heaven. And so am I revenged? That would be scant. A villain kills my father, and for this I, his sole son, do send this same villain to heaven. Why, this is higher in salary, not revenge. He took my father grossly, full of bread. And am I then revenged to take him when he is in the purging of his soul, fit and seasoned for passage? No. Up, dagger, and know thou a more horrid end. When he is drunk asleep, or in the incestuous pleasures of his bed, at game a swearing, or about some act that has no relish of salvation in't, then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven, that his soul may be as damned and black as hell itself, whereto it goes. My mother states, this physic but prolongs thy sickly days.
My words fly up. my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go.
He will come straight. Look, you lay hold to him.
I warrant you, fear me not.
Mother!
Withdraw, I hear him coming.
Mother! What's the matter now, Mother?
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, you answer with an idle tongue.
Go, you question with a wicked tongue.
Why, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
No. Well, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then I'll set those two that can't speak.
Come, and sit you down. You shall not go until I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me? Help! Help!
What ho? Help!
How now?
Help!
Dead bird, duck it dead!
I'm slain.
Oh, me, what hast thou done?
Nay, I am not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed has been.
A bloody deed? Almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brothers.
Kill a king.
Aye, lady, it was my word. A wretched, rash, and intruding fool. Farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. Leave wringing of your hands. Peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff.
What have I done? That thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me?
Look thou here upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten and command, a station like the herald Mercury, newly lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. This is your husband, like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this marsh? Have you eyes? Oh, you cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? What devil lust that hath cozened you at hood and blind? Where is thy blood? Rebellious hell! If thou canst butine in a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax and melt in her fire. I'll proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, for frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will.
Oh, speak no more, sweet Hamlet. Thou turn'st my eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tint.
To lie in the enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love o'er the nasty shot.
Speak to me no more! These words like daggers enter in my ears no more!
A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the tide of thy precedent lord, a cut-purse of the empire that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. A king of shreds and patches! Oh, you host of heaven, hover over me with your wings, you heavenly guards. Do you not come your tardy son to chide, who lets go by the important acting of your dread command?
Yes, he's mad.
Say,
Do not forget! This visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose. But look, amazement on thy mother's sense. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit and weakest body's strongest works. Speak to her, Hamlet!
how is it with you, lady?
Alas, how is it with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy and with incorporeal air do hold discourse? Whereon do you look?
On him! On him! Look you how pale he glares. Do not look upon me.
To whom do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
Nothing at all. Yet all that is, I see.
Nor did you nothing hear?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Look, look! My father, as he lived in his Hamlet. Look! Look where he goes even now out of the portal.
This is the very coinage of your brain. This bottomless creation ecstasy is very coming in.
Ecstasy! It is not madness that I have uttered. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul that not your trespass, but my madness speaks. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come. Forgive me this my virtue, for in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself a pardon must beg, yea, curb and woo for leave to do him good.
Oh, Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain.
And throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Good night, mother. But go not to my uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I will blessing beg of you for this same Lord. I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. Good night, mother. I must be cruel only to be kind. This bad begins and worse remains behind. One word more, good mother.
What shall we do?
Not this. By no means that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed. Pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse. Or for a pair of reachy kisses, or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers, make you travel all this out. That I indeed am not in madness, but mad in craft.
Be thou sure, if words be made of breath and breath of life, I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me.
I must sing. You know this?
Alack, I had forgot 'tis so concluded on.
There's letter sealed, and my two schoolfellows whom I will trust as adders fanged, they bear the mandate. This man will set me packing. I will lug the guts into the neighbor room. Good night, indeed, mother. This counselor is now most still, most secret, and most brave. Who was in life a foolish, prating knave. Come, sir, to draw to an end with you. Good night, mother.
son.
Oh, my own Lord, what have I seen tonight?
But Gertrude, how does Hamlet?
Mad, as the sea and the wind when both contend which is the mightier. In his lawless fit, behind the arras hearing something stir, whips out his dagger, cries, "A rat! A rat!" And in this brainish apprehension, kills the unseen good old man.
Oh, heavy deed. It had been so with us had we been here. His liberties is full of threats to all, to you, yourself, to everyone. Alas, how shall this bloody deed be answered? It shall be laid to us. Where is he gone?
To draw apart the body he hath killed, o'er whom his very madness, like some ore among a mineral of metal's base, shows itself pure. He weeps for what is done.
Oh, come away, Gertrude. My soul is full of discord and dismay.
Tis safely stowed.
My lord, Hamlet! Hamlet!
Soft, what noise? Who calls on Hamlet?
What have you done, my lord, with the dead body?
Who compounded it with the dust? Where truth is kin?
Tell us where it is that we may take it thence and bear it to the chapel.
I cannot believe it.
Believe what?
That I can keep your counsel and not mine own. Besides, to be demanded of a sponge, what should be the replication made by the son of a king?
Take you me for a sponge, my lord?
I, madam, that soaks up the king's countenance, his rewards, his authorities. Oh, what such servants do the king best service in the end? He keeps them like an ape, an apple, in the corner of his jaw, first mouthed to be last swallowed. When he needs what you have gleaned, it is but squeezing you. And sponge, you will be dry again.
I understand you not, my lord.
I am glad of it. A knavish speech sleeps in a foolish ear.
My lord, you must tell us where the body is and go with us to the king.
The body is with the king, but the king is not with the body. The king is a thing
Think, my lord.
of nothing. Bring me to him.
I have sent to seek him and to find the body. How dangerous it is this man goes loose. Yet we must not put the strong law upon him, for he is loved by the suspected multitude, who light not in their judgment, but their eyes. And whereto the offender's scourge is weighed, but never the offense. To be all smooth and even, this sudden sending him away must seem deliberate pause. Desperate diseases grown by desperate appliances are relieved or not at all. How now? What hath befallen?
Where the dead body is bestowed, my lord, we cannot get from him.
Bring him before us.
Oh, bring in the Lord!
Hamlet, where is Polonius?
At supper?
At supper? Where?
Oh, not where he eats, but where he is eaten. A certain convocation of politic worms are eaten at him. Your worm is your only emperor for diet. We fat all creatures, else to fat us, and we fat ourselves for maggots. Your fat king and lean beggar are but a variable service. 2 dishes, but to 1 table. That's the end.
Alas, alas.
A man may fish with the worm that hath fed of a king, and eat of the fish that hath fed of that worm.
What do you mean by this?
Oh, nothing, but to show you how a king may go a progress through the guts of a beggar.
Where is Polonius?
In heaven! Sent thither to see. If your messenger find him not there, seek him in the other place yourself. But if you find him not within this month, you shall nose him as you head up the stairs into the lobby.
Go. Seek him there.
He will stay till you come.
The bark is ready, the tent at rest, the associates in, and everything is bent for England.
For England?
I have made it is if thou knewest our purpose.
I see a cherub that sees them. But come, for England, good mother.
For thy loving father, Hamlet.
My mother. Father and mother are man and wife. Man and wife are one flesh. So, my mother, come for England.
England. If my love thou holdst at aught, as my great power may give thee sense, since thy cicatrice looks raw and red after the Danish sword, and thy free art pays homage to us, thou mayest not coldly set down the sovereign process, which imports at full by letters conjuring to that effect the present death of Hamlet. Do it, England, for like the hectic, in my blood he rages, and thou must cure me, till I know 'tis done, howe'er my haps, my joys were ne'er begun.
Go, Captain. For me, greet the Danish king. Tell him that by his license, Fortinbras craves the conveyance of a promised march over his kingdom. You know the rendezvous. If that his majesty would aught with us, We shall express our duty in his eye, and let him know so.
I will do it, my lord.
Go softly on.
Sir, whose powers are these?
They are of Norway, sir.
On purpose, sir, I pray you.
Against some part of Poland.
Who commands them?
The nephew of old Norway, Fortinbras.
Be they for the main of Poland or for some frontier?
Truly speak, with no addition, we go to gain a little patch of ground that hath then it no profit but the name. To pay 5 ducats, 5, I couldn't farm it. Nor will yield to Norway or the Pole rank or rate should be sold in fee.
Why, then the Polak never will defend it.
Yes, it's already garrisoned.
2,000 souls and 20,000 ducats will not debate the question of this straw. This is the imposthume of much wealth and peace that inward breaks, and it gives no wonder for why the man dies. I humbly thank you, sir.
Goodbye, sir.
Will it please you go, my lord?
I will be straight with you. Go a little before. All occasions do inform against me and spur my dull revenge. I do not know why yet I live to say this things to do. Sith I have cause and will and means and strength to do't. The examples gross as earth exhort me. From this moment forth, my thoughts be bloody, or be nothing worth.
I will not speak with her.
She is important and indeed distract. Her mood will needs be pitied.
What would she have?
She speaks much of her father. Says she hears there's tricks in the world and hems and beats her heart, spurns enviously at straws, speaks things in doubt that carry but half sense. Her speech is nothing, yet the unshaped use of it doth move the hearers to collection. They yawn at it, and botch the words up to fit their own thoughts, which as her winks and nods and gestures yield them, make one think there might be thought. For good she was spoken with, for she may stew dangerous conjectures in ill-breeding minds.
Let her come in. To my sick soul, as sin's true nature is, each toy seems prologue to some great abyss. So full of artless jealousy is guilt, it spills itself in fearing to be spilt.
Where is beauteous majesty of Denmark?
Why, how now? Ophelia? How shall your true love know from another one? By his cockle hat and staff and his sandal shoe. Alas, sweet lady, what imports this song?
Say you?
Nay, pray you mark. He is dead and gone, lady. He is dead and gone. At his head a grass-green turf, at his heels a stone.
Nay, but Ophelia.
Pray you mark. White as shroud is the mountain snow.
No, I would not in plain terms, from this time forth, have you so slander any moment's leisure as to give words or talk with the Lord. Have you not?
His will is not his
Oh, I love you.
Think it no more.
You yourself have of your audience been most free and bountiful. From this time, something scamper of your maiden presence.
Good. That safety lies in here.
I love you not!
Loud in all its sweet flowers,
Alas, my
which
lord,
you
but
wept
here-
to the ground in echo, and true love showers.
How do you, pretty lady?
Well, God help you. They say the owl was a baker's daughter. Lord, we know what we are, but know not what we may be. God the at your table.
Conceit upon her father.
Pray, let's have no more words of this. But when they ask you what it means, say you this. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning betime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes and doth the chamber door. Let in a maid, let out a maid, never anymore!
Pretty Ophelia.
Indeed, without an oath, I'll make an end on it. By jizz. And my sincerity, a laugh and five for shame. Young men will do it if they come to it. By cock they are to blame. Oh, she before you tell me you promised me to wed. So when I had done my honor, son, and thou was not come to my bed.
How long have she been thus?
I hope all will be well. We must be patient. But I cannot choose to weep to think they lay him in the cold ground. My brother shall know of it. And so I thank you for your good counsel. Good night, sweet ladies! Good night! Sweet ladies, good night!
Sweet Gertrude, this, like a murdering piece in many places, gives me superfluous death.
Alack, what noise is this?
The doors are broke.
Where is this king? O thou vile king, give me my father.
Calmly, good Laertes.
That drop of blood that's calm proclaims me bastard. Christ cuckold to my father. Brands the harlot even here between the unsmirched brow of my one true mother.
Laertes, what's the cause that thy rebellion looks so giant-like?
Where is my father?
Dead.
But not by him.
Let him demand his fifth.
How came he dead? I'll not be juggled with. To hell allegiance, vows to the blackest devil, conscience and grace to the profoundest pit. I dare damnation. To this point I stand that both the worlds I give to negligence. Let come what comes, only I'll be revenged most thoroughly for my father.
Who shall stay you then?
My will, not all the world's. And for my means I'll husband them so well they shall go far with little.
Good Laertes, if you desire to know the certainty of your father, is it writ in your revenge? That swoop stake you may borrow both friend and foe, winner and loser.
None but his enemies.
Will you know them then?
To his good friends, thus wide I'll open my arms, and like the kind, life-rendering pelican, repast him with my blood.
But now, you speak like a good child and true gentleman, that I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensibly in grief for it. It shall be as level of your judgment, peer, as day does to your eye.
How now? What noise is that? thy brains. Tears 7 times salt burn out the sense and virtue of mine eye. By heavens, thy madness will be paid with weight, till our scale turn the beam. O Rose of May, dear maid, kind sister, sweet Ophelia. O heavens, is it possible a young maid's wits should be as mortal as an old man's life? Nature is fine in love, where it is fine its sense of precious instance of itself, after the thing it loves.
Before I'm barefaced on the bier, hey noddy noddy, hey noddy noddy, and on his grave right many a tear. Fare you well, my dove.
Hadst thou thy wits and didst persuade revenge, could not move thus.
You must sing it down, we'll call it a down. Oh, how real becomes it. It is a false steward that stole his master's daughter.
This nothing's more than matter.
Here's rosemary. That's for remembrance. Pray, love, remember. And here's pansies. That's for thoughts.
Document in madness, thoughts and remembrance fitted.
Here's fennel for you, and columbines.
Here's rue for you. And some for me. We may call it Herba Gracia Sundays. And there's a daisy. I will give you some violets, but they withered all when my father died. And will he not come again? And will he not come again? Oh no, he is dead. Go to thy deathbed. He will not come again. His beard was white as snow. How waxen was his bow. He is dead, he is dead. And we cast away moan. May God have mercy on his soul and on all Christian souls. God by you.
Do you see this, O God?
Good Laertes, I must commune with your grief, or you deny me my right. Go but apart, make choice of whom your wisest friends you will, and they shall hear and judge betwixt you and me. If by direct or collateral hand they find us touched, my kingdom shall I give, my crown, my life, and all that we call ours, to you in satisfaction. But if not, I pray you, lend your patience to us, and we shall jointly labor with your soul to give it due content.
Let this be so. His means of death, his obscure funeral, no trophy, sword, nor hatchment o'er his bones, no noble rites, nor formal ostentation, cry to be heard as 'twere from heaven to earth, that I must call it in question.
Shall be so. And where the offender is, the let the great axe fall. I pray you, go with me.
Horatio, ere we were 2 days old at sea, a pirate of very warlike appointment gave us chase. Finding ourselves too slow of ale, we put on a compelled valor, and in the grapple I boarded them. On the instant they got clear of our ship, so I alone became their prisoner. They have dealt with me like thieves of mercy, but they knew what they did. I am to do a good turn for them. Prepare thou to me with as much speed as thou wouldst fly death. I have words to speak in thine ear, will make thee dumb, yet are they much too light for the bore of the matter. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern hold their course for England, of them I have much to tell thee. Farewell, he that thou knowest thine, Hamlet. Pirates.
Now your conscience my acquaintance see, and you must put me in your heart for friend. Sith you have heard, and with a knowing ear, that he who hath your noble father slain pursued my life.
It well appears. But tell me why you proceeded not against these feats, so criminal and so capital in nature, as by your safety, greatness, wisdom, all things else you mainly were stirred up.
Aye, for two special reasons, which to you may perhaps seem much unsinning, but to me they are strong. His mother, the queen, lives almost by his looks. And for me, be it my virtue or my life, be it either which, she is so conjunctive to my life and soul, that as the stars move not but in his sphere, I could not but by her. The other motive, why to a public count I might not go, is the love the general gender bear.
And so have I a noble father lost, a sister driven into desperate terms, whose worth, praises may go back again, stood challenger on mount of all the age of her perfections. But my revenge will come.
Break not your sleep for that. From Hamlet. High and mighty, you shall know I am set naked on your kingdom. Tomorrow shall I beg leave to see your kingly eyes, when I shall first ask in your pardon thereunto recount the occasion of my sudden and more strange return. Hamlet. What should this mean? Are all the rest come back, or is it some abuse and no such thing? And in a postscript here he says, alone. Can you devise it?
I am lost in it, my lord. But let him come. 'Twarms the very sickness in my heart that I shall live and tell him to his teeth, thus didst thou.
If it be so, Laertes. But how should it be so? How otherwise would you be ruled by me?
Aye, my lord. So you will not overrule me to a peace.
Oh, to thine own peace. Hamlet be returned, as checking at his voyage, and he no more means to undertake it. I shall work him to an exploit, now right in my device, whereunto he can't help but fall. And upon his death, no wind of blame shall breathe, and even his mother shall unplug the charge and call it accident.
My lord, I will be ruled. The rather, if you could devise it so that I might be the organ.
It falls right. You have been talked of much since your trial, and within Hamlet's hearing for a quality wherein they say you shine. Your sum of parts did not pluck such envy from him as did that one. And that, in my regards, the unworthiest siege.
What part is that, my lord?
The very ribbon in the cap of youth. Hamlet, come back. What will you undertake to show yourself indeed your father's son, more than in words?
To cut his throat in the church.
Ah. No place indeed should murder sanctuarize. Hamlet, come return. He shall know you are come home. We shall bring you in fine together and make a wager o'er your heads. He being remiss, most gracious, and free from all contriving, he shall not peruse the foils. So that with ease and very little shuffling, you may choose a sword unabated, and in a passive practice, requite him for your father.
I will do it, and for that purpose I'll anoint my sword. I bought an unction of a mountebank, so mortal that, but dip a knife in it, where it draws blood, no cataplasm so rare, collected from all simples that have virtue under the moon, can save the very thing from death, that is but scratched withal. I'll touch my point with this contagion, that if I gall him slightly, it may be death.
Let's think on this further. Weigh what convenience of both time and means may fit us to our shape. If this should fail, and our drift should look to our bad performance, 'twere better not essay. Therefore this plan and project should have a back or second to hold if it should blast and proof. Let's see. I shall make a wager on your cunnings. I have it. When in your bouts you are both hot and dry, and your motions are more violent to that end, and he calls for drink, I will have preferred him a challenge for the nonce, whereupon sipping, if perhaps he escape your venom stock, our plan shall hold there. But sorry, who's here?
One woe doth tread upon another's heels, so fast they follow. Laertes, your sister's drowned.
Drowned? Oh, where?
There's a willow grows ascot the brook that shows its hoary leaves in the glassy stream. Therewith fantastic garlands did she make of crowflowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples that liberal shepherds give a grosser name, but our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There on the pendant boughs, her crowned weeds clamoring to hang, an envious sliver growth, when down her weedy trophies and herself fell in the weeping brook. Her clothes spread wide, and mermaid like a while they bore her up, which time she chaunted snatches of old lauds as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be till that her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death.
Alas, then she is drowned. Too much of water hast thou, poor Ophelia. Therefore I forbid my tears. Yet it is our trick. Nature her custom hold, let shame say what it will. When these are gone, the woman will be out. I have a speech of fire that fain would blaze, but that this folly drowns it.
How much I had to do to calm his rage. Now fear I this will give it charge again. Come.
Is she to be buried in a Christian burial when she willfully seeks her own salvation?
Oh, I tell thee she is. Therefore make her grave straight. The crowner has sat on her and found it Christian burial.
How can that be unless she drowned herself in her own defense?
Oh, aye, 'tis found so.
It must be stay off and go. It cannot be else. For here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act. And an act hath 3 branches. It is to act, to do, to perform. Argal, she drowned herself wittingly.
Nay, but hear ye, good man Delver.
Give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good. If the man go to the water and drown himself, it is will he, nil he goes, mark you that. But if the water go to him and drown him, he drowns not himself. Argal, he that is not guilty of his own death, shortens not his own life.
What is this law?
I married his crowner's quest law.
Well, there you have proof of it. If this had not been a gentlewoman, she would have been buried out in a Christian burial.
Why, there thou sayest. And the more pity that great folk should have countenance in this world to drown or hang themselves more so than they're even Christian. Come, my spade. There is no ancient gentleman but the gardeners, the ditchers, and the grave makers. They hold up Adam's profession.
Was he a gentleman?
He was the first that ever bore arms.
Why, he had none.
What? Art thou a heathen? How dost thou understand the scripture? The scripture says Adam digged. Could he dig without arms? I'll put another question to thee. If thou answerest me not to the purpose, confess thyself.
Go to.
What is he that builds stronger than the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
The gallows maker, for that frame outlives 1,000 lives.
I like thy wit well. In good faith, the gallows does well. But how does it well? The gallows does well to those that do ill. Thou dost ill to say that the gallows is built stronger than the church. Argal, the gallows may do well to thee. To it again, come.
Who? Built stronger than a mason? A shipwright? Or a carpenter?
Aye, tell me that and unyoke.
Oh. Mary, now I can tell.
To it.
Mass, I cannot tell.
Cudgel thy brains, no more about it, for thy dull ass will not mend its pace with a beating. And when you are asked this question again, say a grave maker. The houses she builds last till doomsday. Now get thee in and fetch me a sup of liquor. In youth when I beloved and loved me, thought it was so bittersweet to contract, oh, the time for and behold, oh, methought there I was, nothing I meet.
Has this woman no feeling in her business? She sings while grave making.
Custom hath made it in her a property of easiness.
To seem so, the hand of little employment hath the daintier sense. That skull-headed tongue-end him could sing once. Were these bones worth no more the breeding than he played at loggins with?
In youth when I did love me thought.
There's another. I will talk to this woman. Whose grave is this, madam?
Mine, sir.
I think it is thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
You lie out on it, therefore it is not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it. To be in't and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick. Therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir, 'twill away again from me to you.
Oh, what man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
And for what woman then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir. But rest her soul, she's dead.
God, how absolute this name is. How long have you been grave maker?
Of all the days in the year, I first came to it when our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras.
How long was that since?
Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was that very day young Hamlet was born. He that is mad and sent into England.
Aye, Mary, but why was he sent into England?
Why? Because he was mad. He shall recover his wits there, or if he do not, 'tis no great matter there.
Why?
'Twill not be seen in him there. There, the men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
Oh, strangely.
Faith, even with losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark. I have been sexton here, woman and girl, 30 years.
How long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Faith, if he be not rotten before he died. For we have many pocket courses that will scarce hold the land in. He will last you 7 or 8 year. A tanner will last you 9 year.
Why he more than another?
Why, his hide is so tanned from his trade that he will keep out water a great while. And your water is a sore decayer of your horse and dead body. Why, here lies a skull that has lain in the earth 3 and 20 years.
Whose was it?
York's skull, the king's jester.
This?
E'en that.
Right. Poor Eric. I knew him, Horatio. He was a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath bore me on his back 1,000 times. I hear him those lips that I have kissed, how oft I know not. Where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roll. Have you not one now to mock your own grinning? By Chopfall. I get you to my lady's chamber now and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost thou think Alexander looked he this fashion in the earth?
E'en so.
And smelt so.
E'en so, my lord.
Oh, to what base uses we may return, Horatio? Might one's imagination not trace the noble dust of Alexander till it find it stopping a bunghole?
'Twere to consider too curiously to consider so.
Oh, my John. Alexander died. Alexander was buried. Alexander turned to dust. The dust is earth, and of earth we make loam. And of that loam, whereto he was converted, might they not find him stopping a beer barrel? The imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. That earth, which left the world in awe, might patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. So, here comes the king.
Couch me a while at Mark.
What ceremony else?
This is one Laertes, a very noble youth. Mark.
What ceremony
Our
else?
obsequies have been enlarged as far as we have warranted. The death was doubtful, and yet for that great command which sways our order, she should in ground unsanctified be lodged till the last trumpet. And for charitable prayers, shards, flints, and pebbles should be thrown on her. Yet here she's allowed her virgin krantz, meat instruments, and bringing home a bell and burial.
Must there no more be done?
No more be done! We would profane the service of the dead to sing requiem and give her such rest as two peace-parted souls.
Lay her in the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. I tell thee, churlish priest, a ministering angel shall my sister be, while thou liest howling.
The fair Ophelia.
Sweets to the sweet farewell. I hope thou shouldst have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride meant to have decked sweet babe, and thou hast strewed thy grave.
Oh, treble woe, fall 10 times treble on that cursed head whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth a while till I've caught her once more in mine arms. Now pile your dust upon the quickened bed, till of this flat a mountain you have made, to o'ertop old Pelion, or the skyish head of blue Olympus.
What is he whose grief bears such an emphasis? Whose phrase of sorrow conjures the wandering stars and makes them stand like wonder-wounded hearers? This is I, Hamlet the Dane.
Devil take thy soul!
Thy fingers from my throat, for though I am not splendid and rash, yet have I in me something which let thy wisdom hear.
Pluck them asunder!
Hamlet! Hamlet!
Good my lord, be quiet!
Why, I will fight with him upon this theme until my eyelids will no longer wag.
My son, what theme?
I love Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not with all their quantity make up my son. What wilt thou do for her?
He is mad!
Love of God, forbear him.
Swoons, show me what thou do. Would weep, would fight, would fast, would dare thyself drink up, I shall eat a crocodile. I'll do it. Dost thou come here to whine? To outface me with jumping in her grave? Be very quick with her, and so will I. And if thou pray to the mountains, let them throw millions of acres upon us, till our ground singeing his pate against the burning zone make also like a wart.
This is mere madness, and thus a while the fit will work on him, anon as patient as the female dove when that her golden couplets are disclosed. His silence will sit drooping.
Hear you this, sir. For what reason do you use me thus? I loved you ever, but it is no matter. Let Hercules himself do what he may. The cat will mew, and dog will have his day.
Horatio, wait upon him! Strengthen yourselves in our last night's speech. We shall put this to the present push, and good Gertrude, set some watch over your son. This grave shall have a living monument. An hour of quiet shortly shall we see, winning then in patience our proceedings be.
Enough of this. Now shall you see the other. You do remember all the circumstance?
I remember it, my lord.
In my heart there was a kind of fighting that would not let me sleep. Up from my cabin groped I in the dark to find out them. Had my intent fingered their packet, and in fine withdrew an exact command, larded with many such reasons, importing Denmark's health and England's too. Such bugs and goblins in my life that without time to stay the grinding of the axe, my head should be struck off. Being thus banetted round with villainies, ere I could make a prologue to my brains, they had begun the play. I sat me down, devised a new commission, that upon viewing and knowing he those bearers should put to sudden death, no shriving time allowed.
So Rosencrantz and Guildenstern go to it.
Why, man, they did make love to this employment. Their death is not on my conscience. 'Tis dangerous when the baser nature comes between the pass and fell in such points of mighty opposites.
Why, what a king is this?
Does it not think thee stand me now upon? He that hath killed my king and whored my mother, popped between the election and my hopes, thrown out his angle for my proper life. And with such cozenage, 'tis not in perfect conscience to quit him with this arm, and is not to be damned to let this canker of our world come in further evil.
It must be presently known to him from England what is the issue of his business there.
It will be short. The interim's mine, and a man's life's no more than to save one. But I am sorry, good Horatio, that to Laertes I forgot myself. For by the very image of my cause, I see the portraiture of his. I will court his favors, but surely the bravery of his grief did send me into a towering passion.
Peace, who comes here?
Your lordship is right. Welcome back to Denmark.
Oh, I humbly thank you, madam.
Sweet lord, if your lordship were at leisure, I have a thing to impart to you from his majesty.
I will receive it, madam.
Good lord, his majesty bade me signify to you that he has laid a great wager on your head. Sir, here is newly come to court, Laertes. Believe me, an absolute gentleman, full of most excellent differences, a very soft society and great showing. He is a very card or calendar of gentry.
His definement suffers no perdition in you, though I know to divide him inventorially would dozy the arithmetic of memory. For the parity of extolment, I take him to be a soul of great article. And to speak true diction of him, his semblable is his mirror, and who would trace him? His umbrage, nothing more.
Your lordship speaks most infallibly of him.
What's his weapon?
Rapier and dagger.
That's two of his weapons, but well.
The king, sir, hath wagered with him 6 Barbary horses, against which he has impawned, as I take it, 6 French rapiers and poniards with their assigns as girdle, hangers, and so. 3 of the carriages, in faith, are very dear to fancy, very responsive to the hilts, most delicate carriages, and with a very liberal conceit. The king, sir, hath laid, sir, within a dozen passes between yourself and him. He shall not exceed you 3 hits. He has laid the odds 12 to 9, and it would come to immediate trial if your lordship would vouchsafe the answer.
How if I answer no?
I mean, sir, the opposition of your person in trial.
I will walk here in the hall. If it please the king, it is the breathing time of day with me. But let the foils be brought, the gentleman willing, and the king hold his purpose. I will win for him if I can, else I shall gain only my shame and the odd hits.
Shall I deliver you so?
After this, whatever nature your flourish will.
I commend my duty to your lordship.
Yours.
The king and queen and all are coming down.
Happy time.
You will lose, my lord.
I do not think so. Since he went into France, I have been in continual practice. I shall win at the odds. Thou wouldst not think how ill all's here about my heart, but it is no matter.
Nay, good, my lord.
It is but foolery. And it is perhaps a kind of gain-giving that would trouble a woman.
If your mind dislike anything, obey it. I will forestall their repair hither and say you are not fit.
Now wait. We defy augury. There is special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, it is not to come. If it is not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it is to come. But readiness is all. And since no man of aught he leaves knows what is to leave the times, let be.
Hamlet, come. Take this hand from mine.
Sir, give me your pardon. I have done you wrong, but pardon as you are a gentleman. In this presence, and you must needs have heard how I am punished with sore distraction. 'Twas Hamlet wrong, Laertes? No, never Hamlet. If Hamlet be ta'en away from himself, and while he's not himself does wrong Laertes, then Hamlet does it not. Hamlet denies it. Who does it then? His madness. And if to be so, Hamlet is of the faction that is wrong. Sir, in this audience, let me say that I have but shot an arrow over the house and hurt my brother.
I'm satisfied in nature, whose motive in this case should stir me most to my revenge. But in my terms of honor I stand aloof, and will no reconcilement till by some elder masters of known honor. I have a voice and a president of peace to keep my name ungored. But till that time I do receive your offered love like love, and will not wrong it.
I welcome it freely, and will play this brother's wager. Bring us the foils.
Come, one for me.
I'll be your foil, Laertes. My ignorance shall make your skill like a star in the darkest night stick fiery off indeed.
You mock me, sir!
No, by this hand.
Osric, bring the swords. Cousin Hamlet, you know the wager.
Very well, my lord. You have weighed the bets on the weaker side.
I do not fear it, for I've seen you both. And since he is bettered, we have therefore odds.
This one's too heavy. Let me see another.
Well, this one likes me well. These foils all have a length.
Aye, my lord.
Set me the stoup of wine upon that table. If Hamlet give the first or second hit or quit in answer to the third exchange, let all the battlemen their ordnance fire, and the king shall drink to Hamlet's better breath, richer than 4 successive kings and Denmark's crowns have worn. Come, bring me the cup, and let the kettle to the trumpet speak, the trumpets to the cannoneers without, the cannons to the heavens to earth. Come, begin, trumpets a while, and the king shall drink to Hamlet, and you, our judge, bear a wary eye.
Come on, sir.
Come, my lord.
What?
No.
Judgment?
A hit? A very palpable hit.
Well, again.
Come. Another hit? What say you?
A touch, a touch.
Stay.
I do confess it.
The cup. This pearl be thine, Hamlet. Here's to thy health. Come, take the cup.
Oh, I will play this vow first. Set by a while.
Our son shall win.
It's fat and scant of breath. Here, Hamlet, take my napkin, wipe thy face. The queen carouses to thy fortune.
No! Gertrude, do not drink.
I will, my lord. Pray you pardon me.
against my conscience.
Come, Laertes, for the third. I'm sure you but dally. Where you pass with your best violence, you make a wanton of me.
Say you so? Come on.
Nothing neither way.
Have at you!
Part them there and since!
They come again!
Look at the queen there.
How is my lord?
How's it with thee, Laertes?
Why, as a woodcock to mine own springe, Osric, I am justly killed with mine own treachery.
How does the queen?
She swoons to see them bleed!
No! The drink!
The drink. Oh, my dear. The drink.
Villainy! Oh, let the doors be shut! Treachery! Seek it out!
It is here, Hamlet. Hamlet, thou art slain. No medicine in the world can do thee any good. In thee there is not half an hour's life. The treacherous instrument is in thy hand, unfated and envenomed. The foul practice hath turned itself on me. Lo, here I lie, never to rise again. My mother's poisoned. I can no more. The king's to blame.
Pointed venoms too. Then venom to thy work!
Defend me, friends! For I am hurt!
Here's the murderous incestuous stabbed dame. Drink off this potion. Is thy union here? Follow my mother!
He is justly served. 'Tis a poison, tempered by himself. Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon me, nor thine on me.
Heaven make thee free of it. I follow thee. I am dead, Horatio. Wretched queen, did you? You that look but pale and tremble at this chance, that are but mute or audience to this act, and I but time. But this fell surgeon death is swift in his arrest. Oh, I could tell. But let it be. Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest. Go, report thy cause aright to the unsatisfied.
Never would believe it. I mourn ancient groaner than a day. Is yet some liquor left.
Hast thou command, give me the cup. By heaven, Ohio! Oh. Horatio, what a wounded name. Things thus standing do I leave behind me. If thou didst ever hold me in thy heart, set thee from felicity a while, and draw thy breath in this cruel world in pain, to tell my story. What warlike noise is this?
Young Fortinbras, in conquest come from Poland to the ambassadors of England, is this warlike calling?
I died. this potent potion thus o'ergrows my spirit, I will not live to hear the news from England. But I do prophesy that the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice. So tell them, with the occurrence more and less, what has transpired here. The rest is silence.
Now cracks a noble heart. Good night, sweet prince. And flights of angels sing thee to their rest. Where does the drum come hither?
Where is this sight?
What is it you would see? If out of woe or wonder cease your search.
This quarry cries on havoc. Oh, proud death, what feast is toward in thine eternal cell, that thou so many princes out of shot, so bloodily hast struck?
The sight is dismal, and our affairs from England arrive too late, so till him his commandment is fulfilled, that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Where should we have our thanks?
Well, not from his mouth. Had the ability of life to thank you, he never gave commandment for their death. But since so jump upon this bloody question, you from the Polack wars and you from England are here arrived, give order that these bodies high on a stage be placed to the view. And let me speak to the yet unknowing world how these things came about. So shall you hear of carnal, bloody, and unnatural acts, of accidental judgments, casual slaughters, of deaths brought on by cunning and forced cause, and in this upshot, purposes mistook fallen on their inventors' heads. All this can I truly deliver.
Let us haste to hear it, and call the noblest to the audience. For me, with sorrow I embrace my fortune. I have some rights of memory in this kingdom, which now to claim my vantage doth invite me.
Of that I shall have also cause to speak. And from his mouth, whose words will draw on more, but let this same be presently performed. Even when men's minds are wild, lest more mischance on plots and errors happen.
Let 4 captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage, for he was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal. And for his passage, the soldier's music and the rite of war speak loudly for him. Take up the bodies. Such a sight as this becomes the field. But here shows much amiss. Go bid the soldiers shoot.